Egypt, the legendary land of mystery. Massive pyramids, magnificent temples, alabaster altars, brightly painted tombs, and papyrus manuscripts. Imagery that fascinates the mind and stirs the soul. From a strange and yet wondrous connection with a universal, timeless consciousness, Edgar Cayce saw visions of ancient Egypt and a story that includes you and me as previously incarnate souls in those early times.
Here we are on the Giza Plateau in Egypt. Edgar Cayce teaches that these memories are latent within our souls and minds and are valuable to us awakening in this present incarnation. It helps us know who we really are and get a bigger picture of life. He also teaches that prior to the evolution of matter that we're so familiar with, there was an involution into matter out of celestial and spiritual realms. And we can awaken to this experience and that deeper aspect of ourselves. So let's begin our journey through ancient Egypt. Edgar Cayce's dates for the ancient Giza Plateau are much older than most of the archaeological historical dates we publish today. But there is evidence that those dates might be correct. Here's an example of tropical rainwater runoff erosion right here in the Sphinx pit. Well, that would date this area back to when it had tropical rains, which would be 9,000 to 11,000 BC, much older than initially thought to be the age of the Sphinx. Not only is this erosion found around the Sphinx pit wall, but also on the back of the Sphinx, which we'll show you in just a minute.
We don't have the time to cite all the amazing features of the Great Pyramid, but here are the most striking. It is aligned true north to within 3 minutes of a degree, despite centuries of settling and earthquakes. Modern man's best efforts were at the Paris Observatory, and only came to within 6 minutes of a degree. The Great Pyramid is 485 feet high and covers 13 acres. The pyramid rests on a platform perfectly square, level to within 0.8 of an inch. After all these years of settling and earthquakes, it has been estimated that over 2,300,000 stones compose it. If the pyramid was built in 20 years, as some ancient sources state, it would mean setting over 13 stones per hour, 24 hours a day, for the entire 20 years, no days off. If Edgar Cayce was correct in saying that it took 100 years to build, that is still 2.6 stones per hour for 100 years, no days off. The surface of the Great Pyramid is 5.25 acres per side. Amazingly, each side is actually 2 sides, as the sides slope in to a center line. The surface casing stones were straight to within 1/100th of an inch. The joints between the stones average only 1/50th of an inch in width, and yet there is an extraordinarily thin film of white cement between them that bonds the blocks together. The average weight of these casing stones is 16 tons. The slope of the Great Pyramid is 51 degrees 51 minutes, making the height of the Great Pyramid in proportion to its perimeter. At the base, exactly the same as the radius of a circle in proportion to its perimeter. This is the well-known value of pi. Edgar Cayce said that the ancient Atlanteans carved a prehistoric record of the ancient times onto stone tablets and hid 3 sets of these tablets in 3 locations on the planet. Of course, one of the locations was in Egypt. Cayce said that the chamber containing these tablets is beneath and in front of the Sphinx. He said that there is a chamber directly under the Sphinx that is an antechamber to the record chamber. And there is a passageway that leads from this antechamber into what he called the Hall of Records. If we look at the Dream Stela, carved by Thutmose IV, we can see a chamber and a door beneath the Sphinx. Is this ancient Egyptian trying to show us just how deep this antechamber is in the bedrock of the Giza Plateau? According to Cayce, the Hall of Records is off the right front paw of the Sphinx.